Welcome to another Tuesday evening Falcon Blizzak live stream. Salute to everyone in the building, but as per tradition, please can you press a 1 just to confirm that the sound is good? I am now using a pop filter on this mic, so hopefully my plosives won't be as dramatic. So please hit a 1 if you're in a chat, if you can hear me loud and clear. And I'll progress. Perfect. We've got the usual suspects in the building. Salute to everyone in the building. I'm going to come to the chat in a sec, but I just want to set this off because obviously this is a serious topic. And this is a topic that we've often found ourselves discussing, at least on my channel, many other channels as well. So Lance Riddick, he died a few days ago from natural causes, it seems. Okay, he was only age 60. Age 60, okay? So again, this is another case for, black men dying pretty young. Okay? And, I see this actor around, and what I kind of remember him for is his very stern presence on film. He had a very domineering presence. He had this, no-nonsense, conservative look about him. Just a few months ago, I remember I was watching the Resident Evil on Netflix, and he played a very good Albert Wesker. Don't know if any of you guys in the chat know about Resident Evil. So yeah, salute to the brother, rest in peace, Lance Riddick, right? However, amongst, the normal outpouring of grief as you would expect when a human being dies, even animals, right? There is unfortunately a sector of black women online who prefer to berate him for what it seems like not having a black wife, okay? For having a white wife, as per the thumbnail of this video. And also trouncing this white woman for how she looks, right? Her appearance. So we have to speak about this again, okay? And the gist of this stream is, for what reason could some black women be angry about when black men form relationships with non-black women, particularly white women? Okay, we have to have this conversation again. Okay, so as always, it's going to be a call-in show. I'm going to just lay before you some news articles, brief opinions, brief experiences, and I'll put a link in the chat so you can jump on if you want to have your say on the stream. Okay, everyone is welcome. So yeah, that is the gist of this stream. But let me shout out everyone in the building, man. Everyone who came in. Who was first in the building? It was Jessica X, first one in the building. Salute to you, Jessica X. She says, hit the like on your way in. I appreciate that. Everyone hit the like button, please, if you want to show support. We got Manchester Blue in the building. Salute to you, bro. I'm going to get to that in a sec. We got Mr. Maestro in the building. Salute to you. Good to see you. Diego Harry in the building. Good to see you, bro. We got KB Jones in the building. Good to see you, bro. Who else? We got someone by the name of Jeffrey5. Salute to you. We got Captain Tolson in the building. Just came through. Salute to you, bro. Good to see you. Okay. So let me just give you some updates. Of course, yes, I know I said no more streaming, right? But for a few reasons, right, is why I'm back. I feel like, for all of you guys who supported, I feel kind of obligated. You see, I'm a very faithful guy. I'm a very loyal guy, and I feel like for those of you who have continued to support me, the channel, the community, I have to keep a live stream presence because I know some of the, the faithfuls enjoy this format. So I'm thinking perhaps once a week, every Tuesday, I'll keep the live stream format, and that'll give me enough time to also work on my pre-records. I've got a lot of good videos, getting ready, getting prepared. And, if I was to stop live streaming, I know I'm just going to get a little rusty because that always happens, right? So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to maintain this once a week. I think it's good. There's also an agility in speaking about current topics, right? It's easier to do that with a live stream, right? I can literally just jump on and talk, have people on, and we got a discussion, right? Rather than go through the whole editing process, uploading process, and all of that, right? That can be a long thing sometimes. Okay, but salute to everyone in the building. Links to the Discord Self Refinement City below in the description of this video. So check it out if you want to be up to date with all the news, up to date stuff, self improvement, Black British issues as per usual. Of course, as you know, if you super chat this show, you'll be featured in the top comment, the top post below this video. And so something like that, I don't know, it could be useful if you're selling something, if you want some promo, so just a little incentive if you want to show support. But as always, likes, subscribing, and commenting works just as fine as well if you want to show support. And as always, the link will be in the chat. So if you want to jump on the panel, that'll be good too. But okay, let's get into this topic. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna need the beat because I need a nice little subtle beat because just the flow. Beat, but for this one. Okay, so salute to everyone in the building. I wanna give a shout out to an old fellow who used to come onto the panels a lot in the past. He was a passport bro, so a resident passport bro, and he used to come on the panels and say things like, quote unquote, black women want to delete black men. And whenever he would say that, guess in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Salute to him, by the way. Whenever he would say that, I would always look at him with I would always scoff at him and just assume that he doesn't like black women, and he was just trying to create a narrative for him to pursue other women, right, as a passport bro, right? But then I often think about what he's talking about, and then I wonder, perhaps he's onto something. Perhaps he's onto something. And let me make myself clear before I present all the things that are on the docket today as well, and any discussions that might come. Let me make this clear. In fact, let me kill this beat so I can make this clear. Let me make this very clear. I'm not a pro quote unquote swirler. Okay? Meaning I don't promote the idea of going after any particular group of people as if they are quote unquote better for relationships, for family building, for cultural aspects, this and that. Okay? Yes, I have been in relationships, so-called interracial relationships, but I didn't choose those people simply because they weren't black, okay? Actually we got on, we had common ground, we had some sort of attractive qualities, etc. All the normal human traits were involved in that selection or in that criteria, right? And yes, I make passport bro vids, and I'm very frank about it, to one, jump into the algorithm because I'm trying to attract one of my core audiences, which is black men, to, hopefully convert to the self-improvement, or to, what I might call common sense aspect, right? Without being offensive. But I also make passport bro videos, or made passport bro videos, just to clarify in a very subtle way that there is no superior group of so-called good women, in my humble opinion, okay? From my personal life experience. And I'm a well-reasoned, a very balanced guy. I'm not an extremist, right? I have a strong mind, so I know what I'm talking about, okay? Is something, can you hear me? Press a 1 if you can hear me, please. Something's acting up in the StreamYard. Press the ones if anyone's in the building, if you can hear me. If you are, the chat has frozen, but yeah, my chat's a bit slow, but okay, I'm just gonna keep going. I'll check my phone later on. So I just want to clarify that, okay? I just want to make sure you understand me, because I understand I can be a little bit misleading. You know, a lot of you came to this channel via a lot of the Passport Bro videos, so you probably assume that I'm a certain way. You know, and some of you didn't even watch the whole video, so you probably assume certain things just by the title and the thumbnail. Right? But this is the truth. I'm not someone that leans onto that way of thinking. Right? In fact, I've had my own personal scars, which would make me, you know, kind of have some angst towards certain groups, but I don't even go there because I'm over the past, right? And I don't say these things to try and prove myself, but I'm just basically showcasing that I'm not in delusion, I'm not inexperienced, I'm not untraveled or obsessed with any group of people. But I'm just against injustice, right? On all fronts. In no universe should a deceased man be joked on for the look or the color of his wife. Right? Okay, I see the ones now. Salute. Everyone's in the building. Okay, we're here. Peace, peace. So I just had to get that out of the way, okay? But, you know, it takes me back. There are stories like this, okay? And again, the story is that on Twitter, I'm going to run through the article, but on Twitter, it seems black women are, you know, kind of doing what a lot of us unfortunately expect. And I'm going to say some, because obviously it's going to be some, first of all, but I know there's a lot of black women out there that just don't care about this or just will not behave like this, right? But unfortunately, there's a lot of black women visibly on Twitter, on other social media, making comments about the fact that here's another black man who had a white wife, right? And also about her looks, okay? And so it takes me back, because I remember back in year 9, right? In secondary school, I remember we had a German foreign exchange program. Okay. And this brought a whole class of white German girls to a South London school. South London, right? So you can imagine, like this, my school was predominantly black kids. Okay. And needless to say, these German girls were choosing. Okay, they were choosing the brothers in the school. And so even way back then at age 14, I noticed how the black girls who would usually play hard to get, you know, like act a bit feisty or you know, might even be violent towards certain boys. I don't know if you guys know about that. Some girls just straight up beating up boys. You know, we weren't too dissimilar physically back then in our adolescence, right? But I noticed how the black girls' demeanor, how they changed, right? After us boys were getting that attention from the German exchange girls. First, it was like wondering what they actually saw in us, you know, like what did they actually see in you? You're worthless type of demeanor. Then it was like this expression of unattendance, which gradually went to a less standoffish behavior, but at the same time, there were the sneers, and there was this like presence of annoyance that we weren't really, because we weren't really dealing with them in that instance. Like before, we weren't giving them all that attention. It was going to these new foreign girls that came into the school who was actually giving us attention, right? And it was then I noticed, even at age 14, year 9 age, I noticed that there was this weird relationship between black men and black women, and at that stage, black girls and black boys, right? And for me, it's a case of, if you didn't want him, then why don't you want others to have him? I repeat, if you didn't want him, why don't you want others to have him? Okay? And this, like, this is a phenomenon, because of course I've been in those relationships. I've experienced the looks, the looks of disbelief and almost sadness at some points. Sometimes it could get violent. And it's boggled my mind, because it only seems to happen when I'm in a relationship, when I'm happy walking with someone by my side. But when I'm kind of single, especially in my younger days, it was like indifference, like, you're just another, you're just another black guy, you mean nothing to me. But then it's, once you're in that position, once you're happily interlocked with some non-black woman, it's aggression. Am I wrong? Am I right? Like, tell me, because people will come and say to me that, oh, you're just, I don't know, you must be seeing things. But I see it there, like, day and night. I see it very clearly. And again, for, at least in my humble opinion, I'm a well-adjusted individual. I have a strong mind, right? I'm not easily phased. I'm not on no Team Becky or Team Pog type of thing. But I do see this pattern consistently, Uh-oh. Diego saying I'm on the money. Uh-oh. So, like, I've learned, man, don't come to the party. If you're a black guy, don't come to the party with a white woman, or even don't be dancing with a big booty white woman in the club in front of your so-called sisters. Like, even though the non-black women are privy to this. Like, I remember being in that situation in a bar, and she told me, look over there. I knew they'll be hating on me. I knew that they'll be hating on me. And lo and behold, when I look to the right, in the shade, in the dark, like, there's a whole, like, at least there's a row of 4 women just screw facing this woman for no reason, who they didn't know. And I've been taken aback as to why is this? Like, it's so weird. And I've tried to talk on this in other streams. I remember off the top of my head last year, what was it? Does black racism, quote unquote, get a pass? Because I strongly believe that this sentiment that is going around is something that is going to fester into something more dangerous in the future. Because it seems to be a type of discrimination that is currently going unchecked. A number of men speak about them being set up by some of these types of women, by other simp dudes who will do their bidding for them. I'm going to speak on some personal stories, but let me ask the question to you guys in the chat. Is this a hatred towards white women, or is it a hatred towards black men? Can you confirm that there is a hatred with the examples that I've expressed? Press a WW if you think it's hatred towards white women, or BM if you think it's hatred towards white women. Because I'm trying to understand, man. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Maybe, I don't know. Am I biased towards black men? Because I see it, like, very clearly. Guys who would have been called corny and lame and who were otherwise invisible to some of these black women, they are now being dissed and cussed out for dealing with other women. Like it's at this point, it's excruciating. You know, if you don't want him, why don't you want others to have him? You know, salute to Ifechi Michael in the building. He says both. Ali E says white women, hatred to white women. Jerry Mann in the building says both. Diego Harry in the building says both. Like, at least we can confirm that there is something going on here, because it's not right. It's not normal. And I might, if guys jump on, then I'm gonna open up bit by bit on personal stuff, because it's crazy at this point. You know, this in a deceased man's wife is not right. I don't care if it's some trolls on the internet. It's not right. You know, let me quickly salute Ifechi Michael with a £1 super chat, man. I really appreciate your sponsorship, as you know, man. Salute to Ifechi Michael in the building, always showing consistent love as well, man. Salute to you. You know, he's also in the Self-Refinement City as well, you know, doing good stuff. So appreciate your sponsorship, bro. Ifechi Michael in the building. So yes, I mean, some say both, some say white women, black men. I think it's hatred towards black men, because it seems like there's just no empathy at all, right? It's like they don't want to see a black man being content and happy. In fact, it seems the more happier you are, the angrier this set of women are. And why? You know? Why? Let's bring up the main article, actually. Let's bring up the main article and let's see what has happened. It's not going to be a long one, and I'm not going to bring up any stupid Twitter comments, because I'm not going to even give. Let me just present. Let me see. Where is it? Let me just present the main article, okay? Look at these old school Fred Perrys, man. Who still rocks Fred Perrys? But let me just change a few things. Let me just quickly change the background. So if you didn't know, this is Lance Reddick. You know, so again, in the movie sphere, very well known, you know, just off of his image. Again, a very good, stern, conservative looking actor. You know, so this article is saying Black Twitter is disrespecting actor Lance Reddick's wife. Upset he married a white woman. Okay. And you know, off rip, for what I know about these types of black women who are dissing him, I can already tell by this man's look. You know, he wasn't getting, he wasn't being given that type of attention. I can already just say it and call it straight off rip. You know, he is that type of guy, you know, oh, he's not fly, you're corny, you studied, you're lame, you're quiet, and you know, you keep to yourself, you're not outrageous, and you're not extroverted. So this article says Lance Reddick, the beloved actor that starred in The Wire and John Wick, passed away suddenly on Friday. Yesterday, his wife posted a heartfelt message to her late husband. And this is his wife, okay, as per the thumbnail. So examine this picture, because we're going to talk about another element of this kind of discussing. While most of Lance's fans offered love and support to the widow, Media Takeout has learned that Black Twitter has been less than friendly towards his wife, Stephanie. Okay. Stephanie Riddick married The Wire actor in 2011, and she shared a message on his Instagram for his 139,000 followers. Okay, another picture of them. She said, Lance was taken from us far too soon. Thank you for all your overwhelming love, support, beautiful stories shared on these platforms over the last day. I see your messages and can't begin to express how grateful I am to have them. So this was what seems like a very loving couple, right? Something that we would normally praise, right, as human beings, right? The couple has 2 children, okay? Lance, by all accounts, was very happy with his wife and family, and they seemed like they truly loved each other. Unfortunately, folks all across Black Twitter are making some horrible comments about Stephanie and her looks. Okay, so one point of contention, it seems, is that she doesn't look attractive in their opinion. I'm hoping you guys can see it clearly. But hey, my thing with that is, look, you probably wasn't choosing this guy anyway when he was available, even as an actor, a world-class actor. We can already kind of assume that, right? They'll probably give this guy a low look rating. You know how it is. Oh, you don't have a beard, you got a bald head, whatever the new I'm trying to hold back. I don't want to be too stereotypical now. But what I'm trying to say is that they match each other, right? According to someone who might have those opinions, right? And I think it's clear this man could have been with any hottie around the world as a movie star. But this is who he chose. So it is probably quote unquote love. You know? So where were we? Okay, so there are also a series of disgusting posts about their interracial relationship. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to get into, okay, when I put down the link. Okay, a series of disgusting posts about the interracial relationship. And I don't want to bring we know how it is on social media. People are going to clown, people are going to say outrageous things, behind an avatar, right? We know what social media can be, and we know what it is. It's a lot of it is just expressing the darker side of our consciousness, right? So yeah, some things can be taken with a pinch of salt, but I mean, again, speaking in this manner to a man who's been deceased is grotesque. There are usually, in most people's hearts and mind, there's usually a boundary, unless you're straight up sick in the head. Okay, good. Media Takeout is refusing to repost the horrible comments, but just look on Twitter and see. So yeah, I don't really mess with Twitter. I'm not on all these social medias like that. But yeah, that's what this article is saying. Okay? And again, with the looks, if the black man is not good enough for you, I'm talking to these groups of women who have this agenda or mentality, then why can't he be with someone who might be on his quote unquote equal attractive level? Speaking as per these people who think like that. So I think already off rip, you can tell that there is something disingenuous here. Right? There is something disingenuous here. And I'm gonna say this. I have to say this. I mean, if you haven't noticed, man, unfortunately, not every black woman is gorgeous, and I'm sorry. I know a lot of some black women are very self-conscious about being judged in this manner, but I kind of sense that the same respect is not shown the other way, because a lot of black guys a lot of black guys get judged harshly in the looks department. And I think this is one of the conundrums, because it seems like, just like in my year 9 experience, it seems like, okay, this group of black women don't find black men of a certain look attractive, but then there are other women from foreign lands that are actually impressed, that will actually praise men for looking in a certain way. And yeah, sure, some of us are going to say, oh, fetish, but hey, I think, a lot of men come to the point where it's like, hey, time is going, I'm getting old. If she messes with me, this one messes with me, that's who I'm going to pick, and that's who I'm going to work with and deal with. That's what it comes down to in the long run. And that's why I also have to talk to the so-called pro-black men, who in many cases, a lot of them just haven't really had relationships, so they don't really understand what they're talking about or what they're hoping for. So they have this hopeful mentality, but you have to experience this before you can really make up your mind about certain things. I might be speaking in riddles, but I'm trying to hold back a little bit. There are a lot of pro-black attack dogs, pro-black men who will assail other men. I've spoken about this in the last stream, right? One of the 5 ninjas. There are men of this disposition. Oh, I see the love in the chat, man. I'm going to read out the super chats in a sec. I really appreciate that. Salute to everyone in the building. Please like the stream if you're enjoying it so far. I'm not going to go on too far from this point. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So if anyone wants to come up, get ready and we can hash this out. Okay, because I think we have to hash this out. So yeah, I mean, not all black women are gorgeous. In my humble opinion, and I'm not trying to take digs, but the weave piece, okay? For me, that weave takes like about 3 points away from a woman's look, if we're going off that scale. Okay, off rip. And I know some women get offended by that, but hey, look, I'm sorry, a weave is not a prerequisite. It's not like some religious requirement where in some, I don't know, Hebrew scripture requires the so-called Mother Earth God or whatever to wear some straight hair. I'm sorry. It's funny looking. So I will highly rate anyone, black, white, whatever, who is natural. Not putting some injections in their lips, not putting some extensions in their hair. For me, that's insecurity. I don't like insecure people in general, because I think that at a certain point in time, you need to overcome many of these insecurities. Right? So this whole judging by appearance thing, like, yeah, it's not that. Not all black women age like fine wine. I was in the gym yesterday and today, and I barely saw any black women in the gym. So yeah, your face might be wrinkle less, but who wants a muffin top? Who wants a wrinkleless face, a pretty face with like a frumpy top and some diabetes or something like that, or some proneness to stroke and stuff like that? I'm just saying, man. But let me quickly read out the super chats before I continue, man. Salute to everyone in the building. We had Ifechi Michael in the building. My comments kind of slow. And next up, we got MJA 2873 in the building. Salute to you, bro. He comes through with a $5 super chat. He says, some people's confidence offends other people's insecurities. So I say both. Ooh, that's a good line there. Some people's confidence offends other people's insecurities, absolutely. I can absolutely ascertain that line. That's a good line. Salute to MJA 2873 in the building. I really appreciate your sponsorship and support of the streams. We got American Brothers in the building. We also got Jerry Manning 1 in the building. Salute to you. The $4.99 super chat. He says it burns them more when the white woman is pretty and has a fatty. Uh-oh. And that's a thing, you know, that's a thing. Especially the naturally big, bootied, non-black women. They get that negative attention. And, you know, these non-black women know that. Right? Again, like I was in that bar, man. And the woman I was with was saying, hey, look, they're going to start screwing me. See? Look. And it was crazy to me because, man, I'm just going to leave it there for now. It was crazy to me. But salute to Jerry Manning 1 in the building, man. I really appreciate your sponsorship too. Salute. We got Diego Harry in the building with a £2 super chat, man. I really appreciate that, bro. Salute to you. Salute, man. He says, great stream, bro. I appreciate that, bro. I think if you come on, man, if you have time to come on, you also, I'm sure your thoughts will be well received too. So salute to Diego Harry, aka Diego If in the building. Check out his channel as well, content creator in the UK. And then we got MJA2873 with another super chat, man. He comes through with a $20 super chat. I really appreciate that, bro. I really do. And lest I forget my bootleg sounds, let me quickly bring up my super chat theme. Salute to that. MJA, he says maybe his wife was his day one who held him down before he got rich and famous. She was there for him and supportive during his lowest moments, regardless of her ethnicity. He just wanted a good woman who believed in him. For real. You know, for real. And this is something that a lot of people seem to want to forget or just not even consider. You know? Like, all these bonds, all these relationships, like, it ends up being beyond surface level. And what I mean by that is you can be with the most attractive woman in the world, but after some amount of time, that gets old. That doesn't, keep the relationship going. Right? You need to actually relate with each other. You actually need to get along. They have kids as well, so it is assumed, and they're still together, so they're not doing the single lone parent thing. So it's assumed that they got on well enough to create a family. Right? So yeah, a lot of people downplay that, but the thing is that, you know, people don't forget when they get roasted in their formula, in when they're building up, you know. And I personally try to tell men to, you know, kind of start to let that go. Don't let that control your future. All these women dissing you, roasting you in the past, you know, because it can play in the mind and it can make you have angst and carry on into the future. Don't let people get to you like that. But realistically, most people are not going to forget those slights. You know, but MJA 2873, I really appreciate that donation, man. It's a big man donation, so salute to you, bro. I want to bring up this article. I want to bring up this article. I want to bring up a tweet that Lance made, okay? Which is very telling Okay, let me quickly bring up this tweet that Lance made some time ago. So this is his tweet. Let me see. Yeah, I can't. Okay, accept these cookies. So this is his tweet some time ago. Okay, August 22nd, which is apparently Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Showing how far into 2019 Black women must work to earn what white men made in 2018. Black women disproportionately are heads of households. You lift up Black women, you lift up entire communities. They deserve equal pay. Okay, so this is him, even in his so-called interracial relationship. This is him promoting Black women. Okay, wearing the t-shirt, you know, he's making the point. You know, he's trying to show solidarity. Okay, and it makes me remember there was an issue. There was an American man in the USA, right, and he was also in a so-called interracial relationship. And I think he gave charity. He sponsored a black school in America, but then eventually he was roasted for not being quote unquote pro-black because he had a white wife. You know, so that raised the question like, hey, these people are trying to give back to the community because they're still black people, but yet they are being negatively received or not well received at all. They're getting slapped in the face when they're doing charitable work for the communities they came from. Right? But yet and still, all of this work and all of this kind of symbolism in alignment, it ends up, they still end up getting shafted. You know, they still end up getting roasted. It also reminds me of Kobe Bryant, man. Man tragically died in a helicopter crash. Oh, you don't have a black wife. So, now you're giving all your generational wealth to another group of people. You know, forget the fact that, this guy, Kobe Bryant, was probably another lame who, very articulate. I think he spent a lot of time in Italy, if I'm correct. You know, he has his own personal experiences that perhaps in many ways, in a stereotypical way, wasn't in alignment with the popular view that some, and I have to reiterate, some black women might have of what is a eligible bachelor in their eyes for them. Right? Man, it's a shame. It's a shame. Let me see what you're saying in the chat, though. Someone's asking, online accountant's asking, where is Demsel, bro? He's probably in the clouds, man. He's probably frothing at the bit at this stream, to be fair with you. We all know that. So salute to you, Demsel, in the clouds. No, don't summon him, man. He's gonna, you know how he'll be. Salute to Demsel, though. Ephraim Mack in the building, he says, sometimes what happens in the past mostly determines the future. I understand that talking point, but for example, in my personal situation, I'm not going to allow one or two individuals who might have not preferred me, didn't want me, saw me in a certain way, you know, maybe I'm just at that old age where it's like I just don't give it. I don't have time to think about these things, man. Or maybe I just forget about these things because when people are not significant in your life, I just see it as a burden. You know, I just see it as waste of a waste of a thought. But I hear what you're saying, and I understand if you're closer to the kind of uni, college, school age, then yeah, these experiences will be much more uh, closer to home, right? Someone says Kobe was never a lame. Come on, yeah. Hey, you never. By the way, he was speaking. By the way, he was articulating himself. Hey, I'm just saying. Hey, and before I put in the link, before I'm gonna put the link in the chat, we're gonna chop it up if anyone wants to jump on. Okay. In fact, let me put it there ready. If anyone wants to share their thoughts on this topic and the related issue at hand, jump on. Let me paste the link right here. Later on, I'll post it in the description. So the link's in the chat if you want to jump on. But let me say this. One day, with the way things are going, again, I think that this is a very under the radar form of dissent, right? I called it racism some months ago. Some people disagree. Oh, black people can't be racist. I call BS on that. And these are the types of notions that will allow this type of rhetoric and behavior to fester in the community. When you say, oh, black people can't be racist. There are, in my opinion, many forms of racism. And the racism that most people are talking about is the face value disrespect. Right? It's the, oh, you're just a white boy type of racism. You know? I sincerely think that a black man is going to get killed. Okay, and it's not going to be by some, it's probably not going to be by some racist white recluse type of person. But I think this time around it's going to be from an angry, bitter, from that type of black woman. Because when I hear the rhetoric, I don't comment so much on the rhetoric online. I try to avoid these, it's just misery. I avoid those spaces, because I don't see myself as a part of all of that. But it's very hard to always evade, the kind of butthurt woman that wants to control the manhood of black men, who wants to control who they choose. And I think, like I said, there are many pro-black simps who will be eager to do their bidding, that will be eager to do the shooting or whatever, the shanking, right? Let me tell you this. I got someone in the back. Okay, I'm gonna bring up in a sec. I'll say this, since we're 1 hour in, and only the real ones are here at this point. I remember a few years ago when I was coming out of the cinema. Unfortunately, I went to see Get Out, and with a non-black woman. Okay, this is a very prominent memory. I went to see Get Out. Obviously, Get Out is a very racially charged movie, and perhaps in hindsight, it wasn't a good idea to go there in that capacity, right? With that type of person. But needless to say, on my way out, going down the escalator, there were like at least 3 brothers behind me, just mumbling, trying to be passively aggressive. as if to suggest, look at him, a white woman, see, like just bit by bit, edging closer to try to kind of spark some violence. And the thing about that is that, firstly, I'm a big dude. Like on an average scale, I'm a big dude, right? And so I'm shocked and surprised that these emotions that came from a movie, a film, will actually override a sense of the self-preservation instinct. You know, this is how emotional these type of subjects get people. You know, like again, this is something that is flying under the radar. People are probably just palming it off as you know, oh, it's not racism, it's not, you know. And the sad thing is that I think a lot of black men are also falling for the shaming line as well. A lot of black men, I think, are probably avoiding some sort of relationship or whatever with non-black women because they also think at the back of their mind, how will they be received? You know, when in fact the I'm not even going to get into the whole black British, you know, ethnic minority, the fact right in front of you. But yeah, I'll leave it there for this point. I will open up more stories if you know. Let's see if people want to come on. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this issue, man. It's a sad issue. It's a sad reality that this is the type of world or community that we're coming from. It's very messed up that this has to even be a talking point. I don't hear it in other communities. I don't hear this level of shaming and this level of vitriol. You know? But anyway, we've got people in the back. Salute to everyone who's made it. We're 1 hour into the stream. The link's in the chat if you want to hop on and say your piece. I'm going to pin it up in a sec. So a few things that we can talk about on this live if you're coming on. I want to know if I'm right or wrong with what I'm seeing and what I've said. You know, are there a sect of black women that are very mad at black men for dating out? And I want to understand, why is this? Could it be actually justified? Is there a real reason why this could be justified? Have you personally experienced this manner of hatred? So if we can open up on some personal experiences, that would be good. And like I said, does this type of shame, does it derail black men from wanting to deal with, quote unquote, date non-black women? Do some black men succumb to this type of shaming? Some black men might feel embarrassed to be seen in public with non-black women, particularly white women in the UK, potentially. You know, this is some apartheid, you know, Jim Crow type of reality. You know, and I want to ask this, man, like just to be straight up. Are we just bad people as well to some degree? Are we bad mind people to some degree? And what I mean by that, you know, a lot of black people complain about racism, you know, all this colorism, all this and that, but in reverse, we can dish it out just as well. You know? Oh, look at that Becky, oh, you know? But hey, it's just food for thought, you know, some air of duplicitousness, you know, but that's everything on my mind right now. So let me bring up the gentleman who's came in the back. We got Shah25 in the building. He came on. Salute to you. And we also got Diego If in the building, aka Diego Harry in the chat. Salute to everyone in the building. Shah25, how you doing this evening, bro?
I'm not doing bad myself, you know. I think that, you know, people always try to make race, you know, as like a big issue nowadays on, like, you know, mainstream media pertaining to certain issues and stuff like that. That's one thing I'll say about today's, like, you know, like people. Like they always try to make it seem as if like, you know, racism is a reason why certain people act and behave, and why a lot of black men try to be in a relationship with white women, when in actuality it may not be that case. You know, I see that stereotype common among Americans, but in UK, like, yeah, you do see a lot of interracial couples and stuff, but it doesn't get promoted on the larger scale compared to American black people, you know.
But I mean, to my understanding, are you not pro-black, quote unquote?
I support, you know, black issues and stuff, but I don't want to like support, you know, people that I don't know. And that's one thing I'll say about a lot of people now. Like, they need to stop following a lot of these misguided folks and a lot of these, like, you know, people that try to, like, you know, guide them in the wrong path. That's what I see with this generation. And
okay, that's a great point, but who do you see as misguided in this context of what we're talking about?
There are a lot of people that, you know, publicly, you know, talk about, you know, in rap music and stuff like that, those that, you know, glorify these, like, you know, gang violence, that try to, like, you know, glorify that lifestyle of, you know, online, just to create a fake, like, you know, persona, and just to create something that they're not. That's something, you know, that I noticed within a lot in today's society. You know, a lot of backstabbing and a lot of, you know, people out there that be trying to promote something that they're not, you know, and I see it, you know, a lot, you know, and it needs to, like, you know, stop, you know, and that's what I'm trying to say. And, you know, and it's also a thing, it was like a part of shaming tactics, you know. It's like, you know, whoever you see on TV, that's not always going to be that person that's going to be sharing the last, you know, moment with you, or be sharing any, you know, money. And that's one thing I'll say about, you know, culture. You know, it's like a lot of influence and stuff that happens in, you know, UK. It's not as bad as it is in, like, you know, North America and other countries. That's why there's a whole, like, you know, World War III happening right now. And, you know,
how can you ascertain that, what you said? How do you know how bad it is over here with regards to anything? How I'm not saying that in a snarky way, but how would you know if something is bad just in North America versus here?
Okay, I would say it's bad in the sense that a lot of people now are just so, like, you know, detached. You know, for example, like, you know, my, like,
no. But I'm talking about, you compared the USA with the UK. So how do you make that comparison? What data or what kind of analysis do you use to, again, ascertain, you know, that correlation?
Okay, correlation between American black men and white women.
Well, you simply said that, it's a lot worse in North America. So I'm trying to understand what makes you say that, and how do you know what is happening over here to that degree or to that extent?
I can say,
is that just a hunch?
No, I can say that people now, you know, try to, like, you know, be something they're not. I noticed that, you know, within a lot of, like, you know, younger folks, you know, in today's generation. You know, it's like they try to be something they're not. You know, they create a lot of these ghost, you know, accounts.
Okay.
And
Okay, that's a good point. So do you mean like trolls on the internet?
Yeah, internet trolls, like basically people that be trying to hijack, you know, movements, and, you know, be saying a lot of things like, you know, be one, you know, and then they talk about, you know, pro-blackness, but sometimes they hardly even, you know, support their own. All they do is beg for cash apps and all these, like, donations.
Okay. Great points, bro. We kind of veered into different points, but that's a good opener. If you want to raise them, we can easily open up. You got some feedback in the back, but okay, that's Shah 25 of his initial opener. Okay, internet trolls, amongst other things. So yeah, salute to Shah 25 in the building again. If anyone wants to jump on and join in this discussion, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. It's also pinned or added to the description below this video. So feel free to hop on if you can. Next in the house, we got Diego Ife, aka Diego Harry, in the building. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Good, man. I can't complain, man. I can't complain. Good to have you in the building.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
Salute, yeah. Man. I hear that. So yeah, not to just throw you in, but what do you make of this whole situation? I mean, Shah raised a point. I guess he was alluding to the fact that this could just be internet trolls, and they're just, they don't really represent real people to some degree. People are just playing a role, which, if I play devil's advocate, that could be a point. It could be a lot of just invisible people. Or it could even be, to some degree, men who could be creating this kind of story, right? But what do you think? Is this a one-to-one correlation with the real world in your life experience, that there is this overwhelming kind of flavor of hatred between black women and black men in general?
So I would put it like this, right? Obviously, I know Shah gave some insights as to it being like pretty much predominated by North Americans. But if you look on Twitter and other platforms, you'll find that many of the black UK women have pretty much the closest thing to the same worldview as the women we're talking about in America. It's almost identical. You understand what I'm saying? So for the purposes of what we're discussing about, they're one and the same, just based on ideology, right?
Sure, I'm gonna unmute you. Sorry, one sec. I'm gonna mute you, Shah, because again I can hear the background noise. So after Diego said his initial point, then we can kind of free flow a bit. Okay, that's why I'm muting you. So it's no ill will or anything like that. Sorry, Diego.
Yeah, that's fine, man. So I would say that there has been one. I think, and this is the thing: popular culture has become a religion over the last few decades, and I think social media and the rise in reality TV and Kardashians has really kind of taken it to a ninth degree. Because it, like, just to kind of buttress that point, if you speak to sort of like women who grew up in the West of the older generation, they will recall a certain kind of popular culture, but it's not obsessive. It's not necessarily where you have women that try to live vicariously through, like Whitney Houston. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Or the women from back then. Do you understand? Whoopi Goldberg. Like, I don't recall women from when I was younger, black women, trying to live vicariously through them. But now, with the onset of showbiz and the degree to which it's been, it's flourished, metastasized, however you want to describe it, it's become a religion. I think that if I'm to extend that analogy, right, the black women in question that this relates to, they are like the clergymen. They like run the church. They're like the Pope, the PayPal, the Jesuits. You understand? They're like that. They're like the head honchos in the church organization. And then the simping forces, they're like the lowly laymen or the congregants who literally at the slightest, do this, do that, they'll do it without question. So what I'm saying by that is, like I said, social media is replete of these examples of the women just demonstrating their worship, to popular culture. Some of these women claim to be religious or other religions, but I'm sorry, I'm not like, I'm just saying the two can't, I'm sorry, they can't mesh. And the guys should have some more self-respect, because a lot of them haven't actually taken a step back and said, what am I supporting exactly? That's an indictment. And I do not want anyone to tell me that, oh yeah, they grew up with women and yada 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 yada. No.
Yeah, there's always a sub story. It seems there's always.
Do you understand?
And it's like, because I remember one guy who came up here, and if someone passes away, I hear that, and my condolences and everything. But that is no reason to assail other black men because you feel a certain way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you were raised by a single mother who had to work hard, that doesn't mean you need to assault. That doesn't mean black men are your enemy. because you have a bad relationship with your father, that doesn't mean I'm your target for abuse.
Well, this is it. This is it. And a lot of those guys, when it comes down to these kind of topics, they need a woman to tell them to be a man before they now start trying to comport themselves a certain way. And I don't know how more people don't see the irony attached to that. Like it to me, it's wild. But like I said, I'm never going to excuse them because these guys make informed decisions to do what they do. A lot of them, as you said, they have this kind of funny, daddy issues, if you will. They know that. They know that therapy is a thing. They know they can access it. They willfully choose not to. You understand? They know that, like, they know life ain't black and white. They see a man maybe with a non-black woman, maybe consider where he's coming from, but no, you demonstrate no compassion to him. You don't have to agree with it, but what gives you the moral right to now start trying to, like, you know, rectify or reproach that guy's lifestyle choices? I see, this is the thing about the so-called community that I can't stand, and I was speaking to my girlfriend about it the other day. When people talk about hold people accountable, obviously we know that this accountable word flourished during Kevin Samuel's time, right? You know, when he was at the, you know, accountability everywhere.
Right.
The issue, you understand? The issue with it, however, is that when it comes down to the so-called community, I'm going to say this virtual community, if you will, they don't kind of think that it applies to them. A lot of people are trying to G-check or regulate other people. But I'm like, it's almost like they're trying to sun people or they're trying to humble people. And so the spirit behind it is a wicked spirit. It's diabolical, because what makes you think that you have a divine right? You look at someone, you have a perception, you don't know the story, but you have the divine right to tell them what to do and how to live their lives. It's, I don't know if it's a mental illness. I'm not, look, I don't advocate violence, but some guys are very lucky, as you said, with the passive aggressive stuff. Some guys are very lucky that they haven't had certain experiences. They are very lucky, because I'm sorry, but you know, obviously we spoke about these kind of issues potentially bubbling up to something, you know, quite grave, right?
Yeah.
Some of these guys are cruising for a bruise and they're like on a suicide mission.
Right.
I'm telling you, these guys are
right.
out here. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of them try to do the whole kind of pseudo intimidation thing, because a lot of them are brought into the idea that as an in quote black man, your thing, like your, I don't know if you're going to call it USP or your speciality, is basically being intimidating and violent and stuff. But most of these guys can't fight. So their go-to in their mind is to basically find some kind of weapon, whether it's an improvisation, like an improviser, or whether it's literally carrying like a shank of some form or another. So that's what gives them that confidence. So a lot of them, like, as you said, because they're so caught up in this kind of pseudo hyper masculinity, they don't, as you said, big guy in that, they can't think, let me estimate, you know, let me pick my battles. No, they're willing to dive headfirst into a suicide mission. You understand? So, I mean, I'll pass it on in a moment. All I was going to say was that in terms of hatred, I do think that the women that we're speaking about, they hate both black men and the white women, but for different reasons. And then they're like a rabbit caught in like headlights when it comes down to the Latinas and the Asians and anything in between on either side of that, because they don't really know how to. The thing with the white women is a lot of them think white women are the epitome of beauty. You understand? They do. Let's call it what it is. People say that, oh yeah, you know, don't get on us for wearing wigs. White women wear wigs. Yeah, no, not wigs, sorry, weaves and whatnot. White women do. Like, I've worked with white women have shown me, oh, don't you think this is so cool? And they've shown me their stuff. Nothing new under the sun. But we do know that, well, I mean, one, it tends to complement their natural, the flow of their hair. Yeah. That's the first thing. And then the second thing, why would you want to, I don't know, for me, it's almost like, why would you want to emulate that? But you simultaneously, so it's almost as if it's like, I will call their relationship is more like an ambivalent one with like the white women, where they admire them. They don't want to admit it because of course that's a slippery slope, but then they also hate on them because in some cases, some of them would rather be white men. If they knew they would never be judged, if they knew the simps would always still revere them, they'd decamp to white men, but white men ain't feeling them like that. It is what it is. I'm certain of that. Someone will tell me that I'm saying what I'm saying is wrong. It might be wrong in their case, but I would say en masse. Once, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, the whole swirling thing, you've got women in these spaces that have made great money. I ain't just talking about America, I'm talking about UK women through being in interracial relationships. Who are the people that are super chatting them? Who are the people that are basically paying them through the Patreon fees, through the membership thingies, through what else, in terms of viewer rates to obviously get like the revenue. So there's clearly a market and there's a strong desire for it. But what I'm trying to say is that they look at those women as the creme de la creme, and it's weird to me because there's other women. I think Latinas are probably better looking than the average, white girl. I'm just keeping it a buck, right? But because their insecurity is predicated on what the white woman is, that's in their line of view. Does that make sense? And then with the black men, they believe, and this is what I said. I'm not American. It's complex. I somewhat understand, based on certain popular culture and propaganda, why the women there think the men belong to them, right? But the women here also seem to think that the males belong to them. So when you spoke about your school experience, right? And, these women or females or girls, whatever they were at the time, perhaps being a bit kind of like passive aggressive, more aggressive than passive, to be honest. And, having a certain kind of off-key energy, right? Notice how they saw, you look a bit happy, validated, and they felt a certain way. And it's like some kind of racialized zero-sum game where they think that in order for them to be happy, you have to be miserable. Your misery is like comforting to them. Even some of the women that I'll be saying, I love black men, and I've already said this on the previous stream. They say it's the subtext. It's loaded with subtext. They're not talking about all black men.
That's a great point, bro. I'm gonna expound on a personal family story as well on that, with that whole as if this is duplicity, like acting like I really care and love black men, but in action, you showcase that you really don't give a ish about it. You know what I mean?
So just a quick one. What you just said, the love itself is, I saw it like people should read between the lines when they say love. It tends to be like a perverted form of, when I say it's dysfunctional, it's diabolical, it is wickedness, it's dark energy. And what I mean by that is, if these women invariably they've left nothing to the imagination into actually seeing men as commodities, resources. What can you do for me lately? What have you done for me lately? That is literally the line, whether it's implied or whether it's said expressly. When it comes down to all this community discourse in the present day, what can you men do for us? You men don't build. How can a stranger who you cross paths with by chance, whether that's virtually or in person, really be trying to tell you what have you done for them? It's a mental illness. But what I'm saying is that the love is based on what you can do for them, or what perceivably you can do for them. So if you ain't got money and you ain't, then you're supposed to basically lay it down. And some of these women, you said it before, are not necessarily the most appealing, but they feel they have a divine right to punch well above their weight. And even if they do punch above their weight, they're not going to acknowledge they are. It's only going to feed their delusions even more. Anyway, I can speak at length. I'll pass it on.
Yeah, we're gonna expound. So great opener as usual by Diego Ife in the building. We got Kings and Queens who came through in the first round. So how are you doing this evening, Kings and Queens?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Falcon, thanks for bringing us up. Diego, how you doing? Going back to something you said. I think the last time we were on, Falcon, we just got to, because I'm going to stream a bit later on, right? I wanted to know when you were going to stream. I got to be in contact with you a bit more. But anyway, we could talk about that one. But
sure.
But yeah, I'm very sad to hear that this brother passed away. You know, I think his character was dope in the John Wick movies. I'm not seeing him in anything else, but I'm sure he's been in loads of stuff. But his character was rough. I always thought they could have done a spin-off film with that guy quite easily, to be quite honest. But
yeah,
you know,
he has that presence, you know, he has that very iconic look, you know, very stern, usually creates a good villain. He makes a good villain.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, here's the thing, right? Yeah, a lot of Western black women have issues with the fact that he was with, one, a white woman, and two, not a very good-looking white woman. She isn't, right? She isn't a very good-looking white woman. I'll say that myself, right? But you see, here's the thing that a lot of Western black women don't, for some reason, they will never get it. They seriously think, right, that their looks make up for having, you know, being a cooperative woman.
Character.
You know, for someone you can actually work with. You know, you see, and no matter what you say, because this is not a new conversation, right? So no matter what you say, and listen, I want to make it clear, I'm a Pan-Africanist, and I've been one for, I don't know, nearly 30 years. Right, but the whole Pan-Africanist space has been destroyed by feminist, womanist black women. Right, they are not cooperative. They don't listen. They don't want to listen. They walk their own way. 1 minute they wear head wrap, and the next minute they're kicking their man. They're going to the divorce court and kicking their men out of the house. And I've seen it. Listen, when I say I'm not just speaking abstractly. I've seen it. I've been in the middle of it. I've seen it close up. And it's not to say that the guys they're kicking out was a great guy. That's a regular guy, just normal. No one's perfect, right? And so so you see, that's a big problem. So you've got you know, whether they're you know, conscious. I don't use the term pro-black, but whether they're conscious or Pan-Africanist or not. Right, you know, black women really need to understand. Right, I mean, I don't know this guy's life story. I really don't. But you know, and I would prefer to see black men with black women. But at the end of the day, listen, if you can't find a cooperative black woman, right, where you are, right, who's going to do as she is told. Right, he's going to do as she's told. Right, after you've had a chinwag about, you know, what direction to go. You know, as the man who's meant to be the protector, she wants you to protect her. How can you protect a woman who runs around doing what the hell she wants to do? That's the average Western black woman. That's the average Western woman, right? But you know, if we're talking about black women in the West, that's how they carry on, right? We've all had that. I know I've had that experience, right? So. Thank God not with my current wife, right? But because we've had that conversation, you know, way before. But the point is, right? This is a very important point for black women, Western black women. I'm not talking about African women on the African continent or Brazil, Colombia, or any of these. No, Western black women. You know, let's get it straight. If you can't get in line, right, and accept the guy you want to marry, that guy you want to marry. Right, if you can't get behind him and get in line, right, and come under his covering, right, and do as you're told, you know, because the buck stops with him. Therefore, you've got to do as you're told. Like any Premiership manager, do as you're told. You can't. If you're Salah and you're in Liverpool, you can't run around doing what you want. You know, you're gonna go because you can't go against the boss.
I hate to say this, but I have to play devil's advocate because I know this is going to be permeating people's minds when they hear that. Okay, so you know, yes, listen to the man, listen to black men. You have to do what you're told. Devil's advocate. Okay, black men, you know, they don't make good leadership. You know, they are, you know, what's the usual BS that we hear? They are not building, quote unquote. They don't have the businesses, the establishments to make a person want to, quote unquote, submit. You know, we're all working 9 to 5. We all got bosses, so we're not so-called alpha men. Like, what if, you know, what is your rebuttal to those type of talking points that we're not worthy to listen to?
No, there is no rebuttal. You know what you do? You know what you do, Falcon? And to every man that's listening, don't argue with them. Just say, okay, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the days of rebutting and arguing and doing verbal jousting with modern independent black women, right, or just any modern, because you got to listen. There's only for white modern independent women living in Europe as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it just so happens, there's only for black ones. We grew up in black communities full of modern independent black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's only for white ones there too. There is. We're living among, in fact, the black ones took their lead from the white ones, right? Let's be clear about that, right? But anyway, right? So don't listen. I'm not trying to go backwards and forward. If you think black men don't build and don't do this, then fine. And that's so don't complain, right? When this brother goes with a white woman.
Okay.
You don't want him anyway. We don't build. We don't do anything. We're all on the dole, right? We've never been to university. We're uneducated. We don't make no money. We don't build. We do nothing. Fine. Don't get upset when we go elsewhere. When we go overseas to find wives in Africa, right, with Nigerian and Ghanaian women, you don't complain, right?
Okay.
When we go with white women, don't complain. There's no rebuttal. You don't need. We're going to rebut anything. Nah,
Okay.
those days are gone.
Okay, great, strong opener from Kings and Queens in the building. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask certain questions just to get it all out there. But before I do, let me shout out MGA 2873 with his third super chat of the night with a $2, man. I really appreciate that. He says a lot of people in relationships are opportunists. Yeah, I can see that. When it comes down to quote unquote race, I say quote unquote race because I don't technically believe in different races. What it is, it seems. We're all Homo sapien. We're all, it's a geographical race. So that race thing is corny to me. But yeah, you match with the right person who does, the quote unquote right things, who align with you on many levels, right? That's how it normally should be. But shout out to MJA 2873 in the building. People are asking for Kings and Queens channels link. Please, Kings and Queens, feel free to put your link in the main chat. Or if we got a mod, if you can go to Kings and Queens channel and please paste his main channel into the chat. I'm not sure if Kings and Queens is a mod, and I need to go to the other place to do that. But yeah, if we can do that, mods, please, I really appreciate that, so we can spread the word. But okay, in the second round, again, a bit more discussional, so you can jump in when you need to. I want to ask the question straight off the bat. Okay, why are black women mad when black women date out? Okay, a straight question. Why? What could it be? Because I mean, and at this point, we all recognize the features, right? I guess the less experienced guys would say, "Oh no, that's not. You should be with black women." But like Kings and Queens was saying, if we are, not worthy, we are not attractive, we are kind of, we are not, we are not worthy men. Then okay, then the black men who are unworthy go to other groups of women and they seem to get on well and they're happy and they productive, they procreate, right? So in that instance, why would black women be mad when black men date out? What is it? What could it be?
Sometimes they just feel as if white women try to procreate with mixed kids, and then when those mixed kids claim to be black, they feel like in a way that white women try to understand their shoes when they don't. That's why a lot of black women don't like white women, and I know the hatred is real and this is
but that, that could be a point. But what I'm saying is that the so-called undesirables, the undesirable black men who, okay, I'm an outcast, I'm not typically attractive, and so I'm going to go with another group. Why would these types of black women then turn around and say, "Oh, you're a traitor, you're a disgrace"?
One of the reasons why they would say you're a traitor or you're a disgrace is because they just feel as if things are not going their way, and sometimes they feel like it's good. And he brings out a good point. Nowadays arguing with the woman is a dead waste of time, especially when you're talking to her or you're trying to be with her. That's what Maja 2873, you know,
Yeah,
made
yeah.
a pretty good point, you know, like a lot of men need to stop avoiding, you know, controversial women and stuff, and they need to start, you know, engaging more into their careers.
I hear that, but I guess I'm asking from the woman's point of view, why would they feel a certain way when a black man who they didn't want normally or naturally goes somewhere else? What is that energy is what I'm trying to get at. Why?
Okay. So why would they lose that energy?
No. Why would they be annoyed when someone, you know, okay, let's use you for example. You know, there's a woman who likes you, but you don't like her. You find her unappealing, but then she goes somewhere else and she is happily in a relationship with someone else. Would you be mad at her for doing that?
Would I be mad at her? Of course.
Someone.
No, I would just, and today I would just let it out. You know, I don't care. Like, if a woman wants to be with another man, and you know, be in a relationship, you know, that's up to her. But like for me, it's all about, you know, maintaining a strong, you know, family structure, and you know, having great friends around you that actually care about you, and not, you know, people that try to, you know, take advantage. Because nowadays, you know, like everyone is so like, you know, I don't know, like American.
Okay, fair point, bro. We're veering away a little bit again, so I just want to keep it on track. But let me shout out the super chat from Blaze with the $10. I really appreciate that, bro. He says, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's how it feels. But you know, I can't cap. I do like these streams, you know, especially when we talk about serious issues that a lot of us, particularly black men, are thinking deep down. This is a good form of expressing these thoughts, right? But I appreciate you, Blaze, man. You show heavy support, man. So salute to you. Good to have you in the building. You know, peace to you. Let me throw that question to other people in the panel. Like, again, why would black women be mad? And I'm saying quote unquote black women because I do believe there are the black women that don't care. But that's another point. You know, we talk about the so-called bad black women, but it's like the so-called good black women aren't very vocal about what they see, or very honest about this type of behavior, right? And it's almost like the more docile black women fall in line with these talking points, with these aggressive talking points. Why would a black woman be mad when a black man wants a day out when they've been rejected?
Well, this is the thing. The rejection is laced with hatred. It's not just okay, the guy, I respect him as a person, but just based on personal taste, he doesn't do it for me. I don't need to ridicule him. I don't need to make a spectacle out of it. It just is matter of fact. I wish him well in his life, and I'm gonna do me. It's not that. And this is the reason why I said I know I talk vehemently against this idea of community because it's like backwards. But the reality is, those women, they're very caught up in the zero-sum game, and the ones that are more passive, they're not the most vociferous about this. They're silent, they're passive supporters. That's just the bottom line. Because when it comes to this community thing, yeah, on an objective level, I've asked women who have been in there, you know, to give them their credit, quite reasonable in this respect. I've asked them, what have you done that's verifiable that has helped young black males in your local community and at any point in time? Moreover, let me even ask you another question to make it easier. If you live in a black dense, like an area with black density, whether Southwark or this place or that place or Lambeth or wherever, and you see young boys, like let's say around the way, maybe chilling outside in a state or whatever, do you just smile at them and say hello, you know, or something, just flash a grin, say hi? Do you ever do that? Or do you just walk past them like they're just incidentals? Yeah. And they said, shit, yeah, no, I don't acknowledge them. So I'm like, so wait, how do you get off on expecting to reap where you've not sown? And what I mean by that is, it's not just a case of the opportunistic element. I mean, that's been well covered. But when it is that entitlement to see you miserable because it makes them feel happy, but somehow, and a lot of these women think they're close to God, mind you. A lot of them think that the hem of God's garment, they really think they're close to God like that. But they want to see you have misery. But yeah, a lot of these women who claim to read the Bible, and this is not like a Bible thing. I'm not even a Bible basher like that, but you know, I hate to say it, some of these women's energy, their mindsets, they got a lot more in common with Satan. You understand? In fact, Satan can take he can take notes from them. Like this is why I said the idea of a community where you have a strong demographic wanting to see an equally strong demographic within the so-called community miserable and down and out. That's the sunken place. And who in their right mind wants to basically be in a sunken place? How can you be shamed in your reasonable mind to embrace being in a sunken place? But yet, time and again, there's so many men who don't ever consider that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And what people felt, a lot of these guys that are simps in that, yeah, that actually, I would argue a lot of the simps give these women like the what's the word I'm looking for here? They give them the energy, they give them that whole kind of authority and that kind of like, yeah, you know, they validate them. That's the word I'm looking for here. But what they fail to realize, that shit is not altruistic. They might think it's cute, but with anything, nothing lasts forever. And there's going to be guys that are going to come up after, and they're going to look at them contemptuously and say, why didn't you stick up for these? Why did you not stand up? Why did you just fall in line? It's going to happen, you know. Not so I don't want to really give promotion to Andrew Tate, but you see, Andrew Tate in a certain way has sown some seeds into popular culture. And so what's going to happen, especially as assimilation is already taking place in this London, there's going to be less gynocratized black boys because they're just going to see themselves as part of, like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Working class, mixed up community, if you will. So they're going to probably identify more along kind of like ends lines than race lines. So then the guys that are trying to do this fake conscious community stuff, they're going to look at them and think they're dickheads. And then you as an older man is going to have to deal, at least let me put it like this, if you're an older man that has stood on principle, you've done something, and there are some wayward kids that don't respect you, that's not on you, that's on them. Invariably, they're going to come round in a few years and realize that they were wrong. But if you have been a loyal simp, you have a track record of being a simp. You know that whole idea of, like, you look in old people's eyes, the ones that have made bad choices, yeah, and you can see the look of regret. There is going to be a conveyor belt of simps that are, you look in their eyes in the coming decades, you're going to see that look of regret. Because not only have they seen that it was transient to support these women that literally were out of sorts, but then you've got other people who don't rate you. No one rates you.
And I guess a lot of these men, when they get older, yeah, they end up going with the people from the other communities who they swore to never get with. That's what I'm seeing a lot of. You know, a lot of these younger guys in the early 20s, they're preaching all of this pro-black conscious stuff, you know, Nefertiti, you know, the Eye of Ra. But then later on, it's like when reality slaps them in the face and they realize that, oh, look, the people I'm praising, who I'm appraising, aren't even giving me the, you know, they're not really giving me the koosh like that anyway. So it's like a lot of, simp regret, you know, a lot of people might, oh, I'm just staying celibate, but really it's like your people didn't give you those signals, you know, like they were attracted, you know what I mean? But okay, great point. Great points, bro. Let me quickly read out this super chat from MJA2873 again, man. I really appreciate that, coming in heavy. Is it payday? Is it the end of the month? Is it payday today, man? I really appreciate that. He says, some women love chaos and drama. Women are bored with structure and peace. Shake my head. We should ask a woman this question. Hey, absolutely. I think I saw a woman in the chat, but this stream. If you're a black woman and listening who disagrees, have the courage and feel free to come up. I will let you on. This is not a, you know, we don't really do the echo chamber thing over here, okay? So we you know, we all want to uncover these secrets and understand these ways, okay? But salute to you, MJA2873. I really appreciate the support, man. Good to have you in the building as always. But okay, I think Kings and Queens wanted to jump on that question because he unmuted just before I asked that question. Why why would a black woman who has rejected in some way or form certain types of black men feel offended when he goes somewhere else to find his love or relationship? Why? What would be that thing, in your opinion?
And that's the real question, isn't it? And if there's any women listening to this, do come on so that we can have the conversation. As Falcon said, this is not about bashing women, and not one little bit, but it is about getting to the truth and the nub of everything.
Right.
Don't read logic as disrespecting women. It's not. We're just men. But anyway, you see what it is, right? If you've got, let's just say, right, you've got two pairs of shoes. You've got a good pair of shoes, and you've got a pair of shoes from Clark's, right? So you've got Jeffrey West shoes, and then you've got a pair of shoes from Clark's. But what if the Jeffrey West shoes, right, you put them on and you realise, oh no, the heel's fallen off. Right, you're gonna want to put on your Plan B, innit? You're gonna want to put on your Marks and Spartan, your Winfield 4-stripe trainers, or you're not gonna know what they are. So they're a bit, that's the
Wallabies.
But yeah, you're gonna want to put on your Plan Bs. You're gonna want to put on your Clarks, right? And hopefully, if it's dark, no one's gonna see the fact you got Clarks on, right? But what if your younger brother takes your Clarks? Right, he takes it, Clark's. He's gone out, right? Your Jeffrey West, the heel's gone, right? So what are you going to do? You got to stay in, and that's the basic logic, right? Right. But you see, with all the Plan Bs going and disappearing off, right, with other women who are prepared to cater to black men, right? And don't get me wrong, most black men are still with, or have still with black women, either in marriage or in divorce, right, or dating black women. That's the majority. But if black women continue to be rank, rude, and feisty in the West, right? They shouldn't expect any other behaviour. You see, what it is, black women don't want their Plan Bs to disappear. You're the backup plan. I used to be the backup plan. I used to be the guy, as we all did, that a fit black woman could call up and get, one of us would buy a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, Friday dinner, right, or something, right, or just look good, right, at a party. They don't want to go on their own. Or you got a car, right? So all of that whole thing, right? Anything that upsets that apple cart, right, is an issue. Right, for Western black women, it's an issue. So you're quite right. The good black women, right? Because there are some in the West. What they need to do is basically be more vocal and tell the dodgy ones, right, to shut up. And that's not happening. And that's the real problem. So they're just as culpable because they don't say anything. When good people don't say anything, right? Basically, you get tyrants springing up all over the place. It's a problem.
Right. And I don't like saying personal stories so much, but I had this issue in my family, right, where basically I just ended a relationship with this non-black person, right? And it was like when I was in a relationship with this person was always nice to my family members, like nothing, like always made an effort, where if they were to come over, we'll make sure everything's super spotless, the food and everything is cooked well, and never said anything bad ever about anyone in my family, always respectful, right? But as soon as we broke up, and it was more so on my end, things aren't aligning as I want it to, I don't trust a few things and all of that. Okay, cool. But the moment I went to this family member, it was like, good, now you can find a black woman now. And that, you guys hearing that might not really see how deep that is, but it's like there is a whole different character behind that. You know what I mean? It's like that's just bad mind. That's just evil. Someone who treats you well all the time, and then, it's like you're harboring those sentiments where later on, oh yeah, now you can find a black woman. Do you know what I mean? And the family member in question literally doesn't give a S about me. Like, I've been through certain escapade or certain instances where it was clear that they don't care, they're not that interested and all of that. They don't spend the time to do this or that. Birthdays, forget it, or very simple relationship. But it's like, in that instance, they put up an illusion of care, right? And that's when I kind of knew that, yeah, kind of in line with what Diego says, man, there's something dark here. And I don't know if it's like depression, it's just, we spoke about bipolar disorder in the previous stream. Like, it's something deep, because that type of duplicitousness, it's weird to me, man. It actually scares me, and it actually makes me just lose respect for a lot of the black women who have these tendencies, because I see it as an integrity thing. I see it as a flaw of character. And this is where I'm saying, I know some of you guys don't believe in black people can be racist, but it's like, this disregard of other human beings in a very kind of subtle way. For me, it triggers something. I just get a trigger for injustice, and this is what I kind of sense. Like that's just my personal kind of experience, man. But I want to ask this, man, and I don't want to be too.
Oh, Falcon, can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
But like, you always noticed that anytime a rich black person complains about racism or something like that, people take it as a big issue. They always try to make it like some sort of national news. They try to like make a movement out of it. They try to like do everything, in the right mind to like, make it seem as if like it is worth, talking about. But in reality, no one is. Like, if you ask the average, working black man that has to, go on the road and, feed for his family, that's a whole different story compared to a celebrity black man and, someone that complains about it. And that's one thing about the Nigerian and, like the West African, like, community. It's like whenever they come to America, they don't care about social media news and stuff. They just start their own businesses and stuff. And I see a lot of West African dishes nowadays too, but like a lot of them are branched in with Indian, Chinese.
Right. Okay. Great point. I'm just jumping to another point. 1 sec though. Okay, jumping in a sec. Let me quickly read out the super chat. It's just to progress. So Michael Meachrook in the building. Michael Meachrook, the fourth of the customary 99-cent super sticker, man. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you in the building. Good to have you. Before I forget, sorry, Sharp, because I forgot. There is someone in the building that basically said, I think it looks bad on a family when a black man married or dates outside his race. And so for this person, I want to ask, first of all, are you a man or a woman saying this? Because I think this is very core to this subject. And, if you want to jump on and state your reasoning as to why that is, feel free to do that. This person also says it's like you don't like your own. And so this is the core of this subject. Again, we're talking about those black men who routinely found rejection from quote unquote their own. And, decades pass, they still get a certain type of treatment, and then later on they just happen to they find someone they get along with who just hasn't happen to be black, which is very common in especially this country when we are a small minority. That's going to be bound to happen. That happens. How can you blame a guy for being in that position? That this is what I need to understand. Okay, you're a man, so feel free to jump on and state your reason. I need to understand it, and I'm not sure if when I hear men say this, I don't know if have you had experience dealing with other women? Are you in that position to be there? This is another thing that some people might not want to talk about, but there is some levels that you must have if you want to go into this whole IR thing. It's probably controversial, but you need some understanding of and openness to different cultures. You need to be quite open-minded. You need to be I'm not even trying to diss, but there is, you need to be a bit more outgoing in a sense. But I'm curious to hear your point of view. But what I wanted to ask the panel, because just to kind of balance out this stream, because some of you have black spouses, right? So, I guess what I want to ask is what we are talking about in the stream, and feel free to not answer this if it's too personal, but do you see these elements in your spouse? And if not, what was the criteria, or what was the kind of selection method, or where did you find your spouse, wife? And, what do you feel were the, the habits or so on that made her to not express things in this way, to be kind of disrespectful, and or maybe even understand what we're talking about? If anyone wants to answer that. If not, I understand.
Yeah. What makes a person,
One sec, Shah. I don't believe you have a black spouse, do you?
Yeah, that's a good.
Sorry, Kings and Queens, I think you unmuted, so we can go to you if you want to talk about it, but I understand if it's private, we can move on.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm going to start bringing her on my stream very soon, anyway. Right?
Oh, that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah, it's going to be quite. It's going to be quite funny. But basically, she's a nutritionist. That's one of the things, one of the hats she wears, and personally, that really impressed me about her. That she actually is bothered about what goes in her mouth. Because that fully helps me doing what I do. I'm very health conscious, and so to have your wife more, just as health conscious as you regarding food, she's Nigerian Ghanaian, so we don't use palm oil and stuff like that. Or just things that some women I know for a fact consider to be tiny. For me, it's huge. So in terms of what she cooks is totally healthy. So that's a massive thing for me, right? Huge for me, because I don't want type 2 diabetes, basically.
Right.
The other little thing is, or big thing, is that she cares about her father. Her father's not that well, but her two sisters and two brothers, totally, the mum passed away. She cares about her father. The way she looks after her dad. Listen, the way any woman looks after her father, right, and the way a woman talks about her father will tell you what she thinks about men. Right, but to some degree, right? It's massive. Also, the fact that she has my wife basically has got real hair. Listen, I couldn't take personally, right? It's just one of the markers, and I know I want to say this quite categorically. I've made some videos about fake hair and all the rest of it, right? It's a massive thing for me, and I know it's a massive thing for other black men. It's not the be all and end all. All I'm saying is that it's a marker. It's a marker, and I want to be able to rummage through my wife's hair. I don't want to have to be able to. I don't want to need to avoid it. So that was another way that I vetted. Right, I don't want a woman who swears more than I do. But bad language, no. Right, I don't want a woman who wears her academic qualifications on her sleeve and think. And I've dated one woman like that who basically. She was no one. She says that she was no one without letters behind her name, and she had a whole heap of letters behind her name. She was a GP by trade, right? But this nonsense. And I don't want a woman. You see, there's certain questions you got to ask a woman, right? That revolve around leadership, right? You've got to know that you are her absolute head, an absolute leader. Right, and if you get any kind of a whiff that that's not the case, right, then basically put her in your fun box. If you've got a fun box, put her in your fun. You've got to be that woman's absolute. Because listen, the reason why I know a lot of modern women get triggered by that, but here's the deal, right? This is the deal, Falcon, and for all men and in particular all Western women that are listening, I'm going to listen to this, right? No man can protect any child or woman who doesn't come under his covering. What does that mean, right? If he's got to know where you are so that he can protect you. You can't protect someone who runs all over the place. You don't know where they are. I mean, physically, literally. right? Your child, you got a son, he goes and gets himself into trouble down the West End like what we used to do. And then what? You got to go and bail him. You don't know what police station he's at. Right? And that's a real example as well, by the way. You've got to, so doing what your husband says is actually for your protection, Miss Western woman, right? My wife understands that. I don't even need to tell her that. I literally don't need to tell her that, right? But listen, any submissive woman forces you to protect them. It's literally, and so listen, all of these things, right? And I like the fact that my wife is a traditional woman as well. What does that mean? Guess what, Falcon? This woman cooks. Right? She has no issue, even when even I get up to try and wash the dishes and that, I say, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm washing the dishes. Look, no, she fights me to cook. When I come in, she's got food ready and all the rest of these things, right? But guess what it does to you? It forces you into a position of protecting, providing, of doing all these things, because you're looking at her and you're thinking, Ross, this woman is for real. She's doing this. No, man, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. When she wants shoes, I've got to buy her shoes. When she wants this, I've got to do that, because I know that this woman has died for me, right? So guess what you're now going to do? Guess what you're going to do, Falcon? You're going to die for her. That's what you're going to do. You're going to lay down your life because she's already done it. Right, and a lot of Western women, what they do, they seriously think they can turn it on and off. When I meet the right guy, I'm gonna submit. No, you got to show a submissive spirit way before you met him. You got to practice it, like doing wheelies on your BMX or on your on your Tomahawk or on your Grifter. You got to practice. If you're American, you're not going to know what those bikes are. But you got to practice that before you meet the guy. And the guys have to do the same, by the way. You can't be, it's very difficult, right, to be a bloke who's never stepped up, right, ever. What do I mean by step up? A guy who's never sought to be any kind of a resemblance of a husband before you get married, by the way, right? And then suddenly, you start doing it when you meet. It don't really work like that. You've got to be that guy before you meet her, and vice versa. You have to. Seriously, that's the deal. Great right point. There. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that helps.
Great points. The guy in the chat from earlier who says it's a bad look for black men to date out, he's in the back. So I'm just preparing to see if he's ready to come up. I don't want you to turn on your cam if you don't want to, so turn it off and then I can bring you up. Okay, salute to everyone in the building. Great points. I wanna play devil's advocate again with regards to the whole IR piece as well, okay? Because I just want to kind of go, be balanced and be well-rounded. Some people say, for example, we black people should not be quote-unquote dating out because, I don't know, they might be using examples like, I guess historically you can say Egypt or Northern Africa. Some people believe that it was the native people were basically black Africans. But then due to intermixing with foreign invaders, for example, or neighboring peoples not having a strong defense to that, there we find it that now in the future, we have an issue when it comes to identifying who the ancient Egyptians were. Were they Caucasian or were they African, right? Or we have spoken about many times the mixed race experience in this country and in other Western countries, where they don't feel, they are falsely deemed black, quote unquote, but they don't feel in either category to some degree, right? And they're just in this world of in between and, kind of, just wandering in this plane, right? So devil's advocate, is interracial dating just inherently wrong? And that's why some of these black women feel this way, and that's why there is this, it's a hot topic.
Okay, let me say this. I don't think it's wrong in the sense, of finding a good person that you can be in an interracial relationship with, but you have to understand that people come from different cultures, for example, African Americans and Nigerians, yeah, they're both black, but they come from different cultures, and you know, you can argue religion to an extent. You know, a lot of Nigerians mostly are Muslims, and you know, they speak a different dialect. You know, they speak Yoruba, they speak, you know, all these things, and they speak, you know, a lot of so like I can like understand, you know, what like it means, but at the same time, like I don't actually, you know what it feels like, you know, to understand, you know, what their side of the family feels. You know, that's one thing I'll say about interracial relationships and everything. You know?
Okay. Great point. J African, are you in the building? Is your mic hooked up? Maybe you can answer this question if it's right or wrong.
I think so. Hello?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Good to have you. I appreciate you jumping on. Yeah, we can hear you. I appreciate you jumping on.
Okay, cool.
So the question, yeah, I appreciate it's the first time, so I know it might be a little bit nerve-wracking, but don't worry, just take your time and say your piece.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't really believe in this day and age and in this climate, particularly in the UK, it is a negative thing. But is interracial dating a bad thing for black people, in your opinion?
It's not a bad thing, but the way I look at things is within this whole black thing, because I've been listening to American stuff and English stuff. There's different types of black people. There's some people that I believe are for black people, they're for their race, and there's some people that are just not for their race. They just want
when you say not for their race, what do you mean? Is it like antagonistic, like against?
Not against, but they just want to be a human being. They want to be free. They want to do everything everyone else is doing. They don't care to that extent of someone that does. Where I feel that there's some people, like when we look back at our families and stuff, like me personally speaking to women and stuff, they've said to me how they feel when how can I put it, when their son or a cousin dates outside the race because it looks bad on the family.
In what way? Is it more in a visual, or is it like
visual?
You didn't raise this guy? You didn't raise.
I think every race has their pride in it. It's like every race has their pride, and I think for us, we're very prideful people. So when that happens, it's kind of like your mom might be looking at you like, "Why did you go and pick up that white girl for? Why couldn't you find a black woman? Was there no good black women out there?" Because when I'm listening to all these things, like everyone say black women are this, black women are that, rare, fair enough. But there's good black women out there. You don't have to particularly date a ghetto-minded black woman. There's so much different black women out there. So why did you choose to pick up a white woman? And then when people have a problem against that, it's like the people who don't seem to be too black, or they seem to be like, oh, but I want to date anyone I want to date, right? But everybody has that in their thing. So I don't understand why us as black people, we're always like, when we stand up for ourselves, we want to keep the thing black. It's like it's a problem, but everybody else does the same thing, and no one says nothing.
Okay.
So I find it quite weird. I don't know, because of my age, because I'm like 39, innit? So I don't know how old you are, or maybe you're a bit younger than me. But yeah, it's really weird. It's like anytime we stand up and say like, I want a black thing, it's like, oh no. We all need to just get along together. It's like everybody else.
But this is the point. This is the point of this topic, though, because the behavior of the black women who are dissing this dead person because he's with a white wife is not pro anything. It's not bringing men and women together. It's a pure disrespect. So I need to know how this can be. Are you saying that this is fine? This behavior is okay?
Oh, it's not, but it's. How can I explain it? For a lot of those women, like what someone said earlier, it's like they would not be with this guy. They do not find a guy attractive, and they don't really care about him. But maybe they would have felt good if he liked them and they didn't like him. It's like, oh, it's like a backup plan basically. But now he's found another woman now. It looks bad on them, innit? So it's like, oh, he's found someone now, innit? So
but whose fault is that? The people, whose fault is that?
It's not his fault at all. No, it's not his fault. It's their fault. That's something wrong with them, with that person. Because I'm not gonna, I think that black men should be with black women, but I've got friends that are with white women or whatever, and I've got people in my family. I don't say to them, "Oh, you're not with this person." You do what you want to do. That's that person's choice. That, you know what I mean? But it's kind of like with these shows, it's always a kind of like a bashing thing, and it's not really how.
Okay. We need to get no. We need to get to that point. No. We can't have that. We need to get to the point. I've muted you because I need to get that out. When you say "quote unquote" these shows, please tell me what you mean. Are you saying my shows? Like, do I talk about this stuff all the time? I need to clarify that because that's very important.
These shows, I should say these shows, because I've listened to your show a few times, but it's like the shows I've heard is kind of the same kind of narrative all the time. Of it's focused on the negative black women, or it's focused on the negative black men. Like, that's not the full entirety of black people. Let those people do what they're doing, and the show that you're doing is very constructive. But let's deal with this type of black people. Do you understand what I mean? Like, let's move on with this thing instead of saying, "Oh, the black women, they've done this and they've done that," and it's a bit. I don't see other races. I don't see other races of people doing that. That's the problem. I don't see
when something like this. When something like this happens, when there is, we spoke about LeBron was another case where it seems like black women were upset that his spouse is white or non-black. Like, where are the good women to talk against that? Because we can all agree that is wrong behavior. That is not a right-minded behavior, right? How in what universe is that healthy, mentally healthy, right behavior, right? So I understand what you're saying. You're saying that's not all the women, but I'm trying to see, because this is media, so like the loudest voices will reach the surface. So where is these other groups of women who are talking negatively about this other group of women who are saying bad things like this? Because I don't see that.
But we know how women are. When women are doing, a woman will sit in front of you and you will ask her a question and you say, "Is that wrong that women are doing?" And I'll say, "Yes." And we say to them, "Why don't you say openly?" Because they're women. That's what women do.
But then that means the counter narrative has to come from the men. Then, if women aren't not going to speak about this, are you saying that men should not voice these concerns as well?
Well, to me, sometimes I look at these things in media and I think, and online, and to me, it's not reality. It's just it's another world. So some things are amplified. And it's like, in reality, I can't see that around me. It's like the area I live in, someone says, "Oh, a percentage of crimes happen in this area that I live in." But when I live in the area and I'm thinking, but it's not as what they're saying. It's not the way they're behaving is like, if I go outside my house, I'm going to get shot straight away. That is not the reality. This is all online. It's another world. It's just people amplifying things, basically. That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, I hear that. That's another angle. I hear that. I appreciate your point of view.
Amplified, and sometimes we get involved in these things and then they're not. It's just like, because it's this whole YouTube thing is kind of hard because we don't know who is genuine and who's here just to make some money. So that's another thing as well, because there's some people that are doing this to build their profile for their product they're selling or their career, and they move into something else. So it's
okay. Let me ask you this: in the real world, are you saying that you've never encountered a black woman that looks negatively upon a black man who is dating a non-black woman? You've never seen that in the real world?
Yes, I've seen that in the real world, of course.
So then it's not just online then, is it? It's in the real world as well.
Is it that bad? Is it that big? Is it such a big thing that happens with?
I mean, most of the guys in the chat will probably agree that it probably is that big, because there is a whole movement, there is a whole group of men who feel exactly like this. So there comes a point where are they all delusional, and are they
maybe in their world, because everybody's different in it, depending on what area you're in or the group of people you're in, or so I'm not saying they're delusional. I'm just saying I haven't seen it on a large proportion like that. Me personally, I've seen people say, "Oh yeah, he's with a white woman, or he's with a white girl, or whatever, rare." Because I've even seen it in my family. Well, I have seen it, but it's like, it's not as a big thing. It's just more like a comment. It's just like, "Oh, you're with a white woman." That's it. It's not really. Maybe in America it's different because their experience is different from ours over here. If you get, we have similarities, but it's not the same. But it's not. I think sometimes we're taking on that American thing, and it doesn't apply in the UK. I think we're just jumping on what they do. It's like, yeah, their thing that's going on there. Yeah, it's here as well, but it's not as big.
For sure. Okay, great points from J African One. Like, good sound points. Anyone else wants to speak on on that is IR dating bad for black people in general, and so that's why the madness exists, the discontent exists.
Can I chime in, Falcon?
Yeah, go for it. I'll speak after you.
No, it's okay. Let's let.
Yeah, go on, Dio. Go.
I think it hasn't. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. So when it comes down to that, to be honest, I know that there's this kind of pro-black talk, which is very fantastical, looks at the world in very black and white terms, and is very narrative driven. But the reality is, I think more people, especially those that identify with certain talking points and what have you, they need to, I guess, more self-awareness, man, more awareness of their environments and realizing that, especially, look, in America, assimilation has already got taken root there. And we know that, different black Americans have different experiences based on where they live. You understand, in terms of how many black people they might come across and the different types and so on and so forth. And then, of course, here in UK, London, whatever, we're not all monolithic. We're not all in one place where, there's a strong foundation. Because remember I said to you before, I want to make sure I'm clear on what I'm saying, that the black British identity is an identity marker. It's not an ethnicity.
I remember.
We don't have black nationalism in this country. Do you understand? So I think it's very dishonest to push the idea that we do. We don't have black nationalism. There might be people that might, in a bid to try to perform their blackness, they will talk about Malcolm X and the Black Panthers and like, yeah, and do all that kind of stuff to virtue signal. And they believe that they'll get a pat on the back and say, you're blacker than they are. But the bottom line is that there is just, you get my point. It's a performance. It's a singer. It's a dance. It's bullshit at the end of the day. The reality is there is no black nationalist movement. There's no sizable group of black people in this country that want to get a patch of land in this country, set up some businesses, build houses, and live on their own. Do you understand? I mean, it might be that other people might live around them, but fundamentally, it's like a black town, a black county. They don't want that. So then it's disingenuous to push the idea that, you should stick with your own. What is your own at the end of the day? Again, I've broken this down in previous streams. Is it the African demographic? Is it the African Caribbean demographic? Is it different countries? Is it if you're Somali, you stick to Somalis? Is it if you're Nigerian, you stick to Nigerians? Because we start getting granular with it, it gets more complex. So a lot of people don't really agree that they're the same. If they're honest with themselves, we're a motley crew. You get my point?
So could it work then if we just don't stop calling ourselves black? Like if we just say, okay, I'm a Nigerian and that is a Jamaican, would that clarify things or kind of remove the fog?
I think I think it would definitely be an improvement on the black label, because, and I'll say this now, I think I've said it before, the Caribbean population, because they were the prototype for the black British identity from the 91 census, they resisted cooperation with the census for a good 2 decades plus, because they're like, the idea of the census based on the government is to break down systemic inequalities and barriers. So then why do you want people to know that they're black? Why? How in the hell is that relevant? So makes it even easier to target us. So how you have legislation that restricts the number of us coming in, right? And then you have a certain amount of numbers so that workplaces that want to apply surreptitious discrimination have more tools to do so. As far as they were concerned, which anyone, in my opinion, with a rational mind will understand, they believe that we have our Caribbean enclaves, we have our restaurants, we have our parties, we have the things we do to reinforce a sense of culture. We don't need to perform that to everybody else. But a lot of people have got this whole black identity misconstrued, because at the end of the day, what is the end goal? Is the end goal to have a good quality of life, to have a sense of purpose and prospects for like the future, let's say for your kin, or for maybe certain young people if you're passionate about impacting the lives of others beyond your immediate family. But people aren't thinking like that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
It's not practical. It's like literally, I'm sorry, but a lot of these people have arrested development. So it's couched in the framework of pro-blackness and stuff. But when you look at it, it's arrested development because it's a dogged refusal to look at the real world for what it is. Take a black guy, because obviously, like I said, I only really date not to virtue signal black women, right? My girlfriend's black. But I am not stupid. I recognize that stepping outside of myself, like I said, all these frameworks taking American talking points, which even at that don't necessarily reflect American reality, let alone us in England trying to basically take that on. It's complete madness. But like I said, I'll put it down to arrested development because it's a dogged refusal to look at the world for what it truly is. Because if the goal is to basically attain a certain level of purposefulness and establish networks, that's what you prioritize. You will not burn bridges with people because you don't agree with the spouse that they've chosen. Because let me tell you something else as well, and I'll pass it on. A lot of these people, whether it's the women that are most vociferous about talking against IR when it comes only to the men and not them, or the men that are the chorus. Remember the congregation in the Church of Pro-Blackness, the ones that basically reinforce that. Why is it that they're far more preoccupied with what choices the black men that they don't want to do? But when it comes down to, and I hate to say it, I'm not like, criticizing, the alphabets, but they don't really, they for some reason, do you understand what I'm trying to say? They don't think that is an issue. But they think, I hope I'm making sense. And and this is the other thing too, why is it, for example, that even with alphabet, because again, a lot of black liberals want to foreground the whole alphabet, making that almost conflating it with blackness, right? Cool. Why is it that someone that's alphabet, if they interracial in the alphabet framework, that it's not seen as bad as it is if it's a black man?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
So a black man that's alphabet is allowed to go with a white man, no problem.
Right.
You understand?
Great
Same
point.
thing with a lesbian. Sorry, she's allowed to. No one's gonna say, "Oh, you're less black."
Right. Great points from there.
Anyway.
Great strong points. Let me quickly read out the super chat from Blaze with a $5. Man, I really appreciate that. He says, "So ignore the proportions, ignore personal anecdote. Sounds highly faith-based. Where are these needless? Where are these needles, fam? Where is your needle?" I think he was talking about J African's points. Ignore personal anecdotals. I guess I kind of asked J African that, but salute to you, Blaze, for coming through, man. You Americans, man, you got paid this week or something, man. I really appreciate the support. I wanted to bring on Kings and Queens, but I think he had to jump off. He might come back on.
So yeah, guys. The thing is,
one sec, shot. Kings and Queens is back. Kings and Queens is back.
Hey, apologies for that, Falcon.
No problem. I thought you had to do your stream. But are you streaming after this? Is that what you said?
I'm pushing back my time. I'm going to stream afterwards.
I hate. Sorry, man, if I affected that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lead people to you. So I think that's a good strategy anyway. So when this is that, we're gonna end up in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, man, the conversation's good, man. And this, look, this is a conversation that needs to be had because I've been seeing this kind of thing for years.
What kind of thing? Just to clarify, when you say what kind of thing?
Just look, I want to make it clear from the beginning, right? As I said before, I'm a Pan-Africanist, right? I've been that for a long time, right? But Kevin Samuel said something very important to a woman who rang up saying that she was, I don't know, call it a pro-black Pan-Africanist, whatever. But she was going on and on about that. But he drilled down into her life, right? And he said something to her that has stuck with me. He said, the biggest revolutionary act that a pro-black can do, I'm using that term pro-black now, right? The biggest revolution, and I want everyone to listen carefully, right? The biggest revolutionary act that a pro-black woman can do, or any woman that would benefit the black community, is to what? Stay married until you're dead, right? I don't want to hear any pro-black nothing coming out of any black woman's mouth, right? If she's burnt her home, burnt her marriage, right? You've got to have a woman and a man, right, has got to have a good reason to duck out of their marriage. Got to have a good reason for it, right? And what you'll find, right, if we're talking about pro-black women in the West, right, they're just Western women, and they burn their marriages, right? The pro-black ones do. They burn their marriages like all other Western black women for no good reason, right? The good reasons are probably three, right? He's slept with half of London, and I mean that literally, right? Or he's beat you to a pulp, or he's gone and burnt all your family's money, right? Those are the reasons to the book. Not because he's not ambitious, not because he watches EastEnders and you're conscious, so you don't like the fact that he watches EastEnders, right? It's nonsense, right? So I think we got a brother on the panel. If I misquote you, please forgive me and correct me. But you see, it's black women cannot talk about anything related to the black community, can't say that we're going against the community, can't talk about the fact that we're, black men who date out, non-black women are going against the community. The biggest group of people that are going against the community are the ones that divorce the most. Right, the divorce breaks the black community. That is the single biggest thing that has destroyed.
I guess. Because in previous streams I bring out a lot of stats from these government websites, but I mean, just a slight pushback. It seems on those stats that black people in general are the least married in this country,
and I wonder why. You see,
I mean, with the idea that women are breaking up the marriages. If we're the least married, is that really then a majority, or are you speaking about even without marriage that these are people that tend to break up a union and break up a household and then therefore become single parents? Is that
no? I'll be honest, like Kevin Samuels, I don't count anything that's, and I know I'm going to get pushed back, and that's fine, I don't mind, but I don't count anything that's not marriage, because it's not commitment. Anything except for marriage, right, is not. Okay, you can talk about commitment, you can do, right, but on the level that really, really counts, security and all that, it's not really, right? And even if we're not gonna listen, right? When we look at statistics around child development, around child, academic attainment, and all of those things, right? Kids that come from two-parent families do better, and kids that come from married families do the best, right? That's a statistical fact, right? And another little thing is this, right? Why are so many of our women choosing to not get married or choosing to have babies before they get married when their mothers and their grandparents did and stayed married pretty much until they were dead, right? And the reason for that is, I don't want to come under any man's authority. It's the women that are choosing career over getting married, doing anything else. So they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They don't. And to be honest with you, the ones that do duck in and duck out quick, right? Because they want what their non-married friends have got, which is something called freedom, right? In perceived freedom, right? They just want to go back to what Americans call the streets. It's true. Right? Or they want to go back to the West End nightclubs where I used to go. Right? But, no, come on, man. Listen, anyone that slags off black men, right, about marrying white women, and I want to make it clear, I would prefer, right, to see black men with black women for life, right, for life, not just for 7 years until the woman gets her itch. And if any black woman, right, is going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about black men dating white women or whatever women, right, ask if they need to go back to them and their friends' circles and be honest and say, do we stay married? That's it. Because if the answer is no, how dare you expect any black man to come and waste their time, resources, energy? That's a nonsense. That don't make sense.
I hear that.
Anyway.
I hear that. Yeah. Big up the kings and queens, man. That was that hard hitting old school talk, man. I don't. Yeah, I understand. I understand. People saying big up to kings and queens. But anyway, again, rest in peace to Lance Reddick. You know, he was the focal point of this live stream. You know, it's a shame to see. It's a shame to see this behavior. That was the key point that I wanted to get off in this stream, because it's been seen before. You know, total disrespect to the dead, to the living family, right? And I just hate to see it. And like someone said on the chat, oh, we don't see this behavior in other groups of people. I don't see people doing that. I don't see people doing the same thing in other groups of people. Like, there is a decorum that I just feel like is missing when it comes to this very contentious talking point, right? And I think it needs to be expressed. It needs to be spoken about. And that's what these streams are about. Okay. Like, we're not speaking to people like this in the real world. So this is the importance of having a communication like this. You know, and it's not, I try not to point people in a negative light. I try to keep it fair and balanced. People can click the link to say their piece if they want to, but we can't be, you know, we can't be held back from speaking what we kind of think and feel, right? But with that being said, we're reaching the 2 hour, 30-minute mark, and I want to go off with closing thoughts, because I think we've hit this topic in a very productive way. So salute to everyone on the panel, salute to everyone in the building, everyone in the chat. So let's go with some closing thoughts to tie a bow on this issue. You know, Lance Reddick and black women shaming him for having a white wife. Like, what are your closing thoughts? Who wants to go first?
Okay, one thing I have to say is that, like, you shouldn't shame yourself and, you know, and stuff, but you gotta be careful of where you head off. You know, nowadays people will visibly, you know, see if someone is, you know, doing something or not. You know, that's one thing I noticed now, you know, with what's going on, you know, in today's
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your closing thought?
Yeah.
Okay, salute to you, Shah. I appreciate you coming on in the building. That's Shah 25 in the house. Who wants to go next when it comes to closing thoughts?
I'll go, if that's all right, Falcon, then I'll jump off.
Yeah, sure, Kings and Queens, go for it.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us up. Brilliant discussion as usual. Always good to talk with you, Diego. And we've got a new brother right there. Do come up again. You know, but yeah, you know, a great man died. Well, what I mean by that is that for me, he was a great actor. And, you know, whatever you think of his relationship choices, they were married for a long time, right? It's a woman that stood by him, and they had a family, they had a life, and they had children. And that's all black men want. You know, it's as simple as that. That is all black men want, okay? And as I said before, I would prefer, right, to have some resemblance of a black community and have black women who want to stay married until they are dead, right? But at the moment, we don't have it. So, you know, you got to go and get it where you can get it. If, you know, it's as simple as that. And it's not about great looking women. No, it's about women that you can work with for the rest of your life. And that's it. And if our black women in the West get that, then we'll be okay. At the moment, we haven't got it. So there you go.
Kings and Queens, man, I appreciate you coming through. You know, always speaking that logic and, you know, straight to the point. I've sent people your way. Hopefully the people will come into your live stream if you fire it up, and, you know, I'll push people over there. So appreciate you.
Bless you, man.
Have a good one. Yeah, no worries,
Bye.
man. Take care, man. See ya. Okay, that's Kings and Queens. Go check out his channel. He's gonna be live now. So salute to Kings and Queens. Who wants to go next with closing thoughts? J African, do you have any closing thoughts if you're still up? No, I think he's gone. Okay. Salute to J African. Whoa, we got someone else in the building. Who's this fella? Jesus Christ. I don't think we have the time for that, but Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Crikey, mate. But I know. I think he's a troll just pretending to be a certain way. But Yeah, salute to Diego If, man. What's your closing thoughts with regards to this issue? What can you send to the people who view this?
I'd say rest in peace to the guy. You know, I hope that his family, you know, condolences to his family and anyone else that's close to him. I hope that they're comforted, and I hope that the good that he's achieved, the many wonderful things that he's done, his special characteristics and traits can be celebrated. You know, that's what I sincerely hope. To the women who were inclined to laugh at him or mock him, I would urge them to have a deep look at themselves. And I don't know if it's a case of going to therapy or some soul searching, but now would be as good a time as any to turn over a new leaf and be a better woman. Not all women would hear such advice or suggestions and follow it, but to those who are at least malleable to it, do it, because shit's getting real out here, man. And I don't know, again, a lot of these people live in a counter universe, so like alternative reality, but they're still, they're still essentially in competition. So at best, a lot of these women will be jump offs, the ones that have this mindset where they're just chasing good peen and just caught up in like just talking about that kind of stuff until it gets dry. So yeah, ultimately, rest in peace to the man, and for those who are inclined to mock him, think again. Take a look at yourself. Yeah, man, that's me.
Diego, yeah, appreciate you coming on as always, man. Good to have you in the building with your thoughts. So salute to Diego Ife. Diego Ife also has a channel, so check out Diego Ife's channel, the Boon Podcast. Appreciate you. Hope you come on next time. Yeah,
for sure. All right,
salute.
Man.
Peace. And just in before the buzzer, man, we got Nimble Mint in the building showing the £20 super sticker, man. I really appreciate that, man. He didn't say anything, but I just wanted to show support. So I really do appreciate that, Nimble Mint. Good to have you in the building. And I just want to give a massive thanks to everyone who came through. You know, everyone who came through, just commenting your thoughts. Everyone who super chatted, everyone who jumped on the panel. It's really good. You know, we had a new person come on the panel, and it's really good that, you know, we have that happening. Right, so people can express their thoughts in a way that it reaches more people than in the chat, and that's something that I'm looking to do a bit more. But as I said earlier on in the beginning of the stream, it's I'm going to be sticking to it every week Tuesday from 9:30 p.m. British time to go live, and then throughout the week will be some pre-recorded stuff. So I got a lot of good video topics coming through, so look out for those. Again, more information in the description below. Okay, but it's getting light. It's getting late. My tongue's twisting, and we all need to get some shut eye. So, salute to everyone in the building. Once again, Nimble Mint, I appreciate the super sticker. And until next time, okay? Until next time. Let me just time my outro. Until next time. Peace.